Hi there and good morning. My name is Marlies and welcome to my channel Marlie Design. I am starting this morning, for me it is a Monday morning, and I am starting with a hot cup of tea. Because outside it is chilly and it is raining. And it will be raining all day long. While most of us are looking forward to having some warmth and sun outside, I have been waiting for this day for rain. And why is that? Maybe you remember that a couple of weeks ago I did a mega sheet video on mark making and painting outside in the sun because of the nice weather. And that made me think, because when I like to create outside in the sun, is there also a possibility to use the weather in my advantage and make more art? And I think I can do that. That means, I need something else than the sun. And the opposite of sun is rain. So yeah. Today I am going to play in the rain and with the rain and make art. I will make some backgrounds. I am really curious about how the rain will affect the work, the colors, the mediums that I use, everything. And when I am talking about mediums and materials, I am thinking about a mixed media paper as a base or a watercolor paper as a base, white or black. And then on top of that paper, I would like to try a couple of mediums. You can think about paint, sprays, acrylic inks, mica spray, even ink pads. Well, there is just so much out there that you can use and try. I have no idea on how everything will react in the rain and with the rain. And well, I don't even know how the results will be and if it's pretty or grungy or totally not to my liking. But yeah, I really would like to experiment. And I'm just so excited. I just don't want to talk anymore and I just want to go outside, set up my station and get going. Let's go!
Yeah, that's me in the rain, in my rain jacket, ready to get started.
And this is the paper that you just saw. I did some of the spray stain on top of my white watercolor paper. I used the nozzle to apply it in, well, you can see it is a bit of a stripe. And I also did some dots here and there and there. And well, yeah, this was my first paper. So I just had to get a feeling about how it would react. And I think I left it too long in the rain. And I think also a second mistake was that with some leftover product on my table, it was shiny materials from the mica stain, and I flipped the paper and pressed it into that wet mica stain. Then this happened. It's just more like one big spot of a color with some stripes. But nevertheless, never throw your papers out. Just keep it in your stash and maybe for later on you can still use it. And this is how that paper turned out. You can still see, because I swiped the ink pad across the, well, this is a canvas kind of paper, but I swiped the ink pads across like horizontal and also vertically. You can still see those stripes, but the pattern is really faded out. Also, again, there was quite some heavy rain at that moment, and it faded it out quite quickly. That means that we can also learn from that to keep an eye on it, and as soon as you see while it is raining and the color is fading out very quickly, maybe get it out of the rain a little bit sooner. You can also see I added some spots of acrylic ink, and because my canvas was still wet, it did not do a whole lot while it was in the rain, because the ink, while applying, totally soak into the canvas. You can also see two stains, one up here and one here in the corner. This happened during the drying process because I have put the papers onto a very thick old towel to dry inside of my house or shed. But it touched another piece of paper where I have used this color. And this is the paper. So what happened? I did a first layer on the paper with my ink pad. So I pushed in the ink pad. That means you will have those squares. And I started off, I think it was black soot, put it into the rain. I have set it aside so it could dry as much as possible. And later on in the process I returned to this paper and I also added another color. You can see a bit more the brownish color. But I had difficulties with the rain and filming at the same time and getting my paper out of the rain fast enough. Because the rain was, it was quite heavy. I think I could have gotten a better result if I had taken the paper out of the rain sooner. I think you are not filming your process and I did. So for you at home, I think you can be rapid enough, you can be quick enough to get them out of the rain at the right time. Even though this is not very super special, I do like it and I will keep it in my stash for future projects. And look at the result. I really like this paper because in the background it is like faded and then those circles on top and you can definitely see those water drops. And this was the effect that I was aiming for at the beginning. I wished for this. And right now I have this piece where it worked and here in the circle it worked, this middle piece. And what I have learned is that you can make like a basic layer, what I did with the ink pads, you know, swiping it on top of your watercolor paper, put it into the rain, put it to the side, let it dry as much as possible for that rainy day. And then take it out later back on the table and add, well, in this case I have added the circles, but of course you can also add other types of mark making. Squares, ovals, rectangles, triangles, whatever you prefer. So that means you can build up your layers. You just have to keep in mind to let the first layer dry a bit more before going back in on the second layer. And this is how it turned out. My base is a canvas, on top is some acrylic ink, some muted gray and some carbon black from Liquitex. And I really like working with these inks in the rain. But again, because I was filming and creating at the same time and it started pouring out of nothing, I think I was too late with getting it out of the rain. So maybe when I will do this technique again, then without filming, I will aim for the best possible timing to get those papers, or in this case canvas, out of the rain. But then again, there is nothing wrong with this paper slash canvas. I mean, those papers are a great base to work on even further. I can already imagine to stamp on top of it with like a large alphabet or large numbers. Some grungy mark making would also work. So yeah, this is still a great addition to your paper stash. And this is the paper we got out of it. I think it is, I think it is amazing. I mean, the rain, you never know what you're gonna get, because it was just pouring with my last paper and then it started drizzling again. And yeah, with this kind of result. It also really does matter how hard the rain is falling on top of the paper, but I do like the effect, because you can still see where I have pushed the ink pad on top of the paper and slide it towards the right bottom. But then there are also those water, let's call it water circles. And I think the all over look is super cool. And another effect that is nice is that I have used two colors and they just mixed and matched a bit. This paper would also be great for like a grungy theme, or something industrial will also work fine. Again, a great addition for my paper stash. I will pick this paper up a bit more so I can move it around so you can see the kind of shimmer that is on the paper, because in this case for this paper I have used some mica stain, meaning that my starting point was two different kind of colors of mica stain. I've put it into the rain, I've let the rain done his job, then I have put the paper to the side so it could, well, not totally dry, but you know what I mean, that all those pools, water pools, are not on top of the paper anymore. Then after that I went back in with the circles and some acrylic ink, put it back out in the rain again, and yeah, this is the result after drying. I must say that I have tried this on black watercolor paper, because I already had the feeling that maybe the mica stain would turn out or would turn up better. And this is the result of our first pieces of fabric. This is quite a heavy cotton, which I did soak into one of those water pools that were on my table. So I thought the water was really soaked into the fabric as well as possible. But you can see the color did not go through all the way. I mean, you have the clear area up here, here on the bottom, and also on the top. And it is not like this is like a failed experiment, but I have learned that maybe this fabric was too thick, or that I had to wet the fabric first before doing, you know, the binding them together and crinkling it all up. And that is just not what I did. I just put it into that water puddle, and I thought it was totally wet, and maybe it wasn't. But then again, I mean, we can always, when you are like a junk journaler or a crafter, what kind of crafter, doesn't matter, you can always find a way to use these kind of materials. I also want to show you the back of the fabric, because you can see the colors are way lighter than on the top. Let me show you. You see really dark green and a bit of brown. And the back of the fabric, so that was more on the inside in the wrapped package. The color is a way lighter. You know, there are simple ways to add more color. I mean, spray on top with a spray stain or an oxide, so you can get rid of all those clear areas, well, in a heartbeat. And then this kind of fabric. What kind of fabric is this? It is a very light linen fabric, and it worked way better than the heavy cotton that we just did. On this piece you can see the total piece is colored. There are no clear areas. There are lighter areas. On the lighter areas I have used saltwater taffy, and those darker areas are aged mahogany. And because I laid it down in those water puddles, there was still some other kinds of product left. And that is how, well, these darker stains came to be. This piece of fabric is more like a two-tone because saltwater taffy and aged mahogany are quite in the same color range, and especially when you leave this in the rain, and it can all the colors can mix and match. So you can also right away imagine if you use different kind of colors, not in the same color tone, then you will have more something like this. Here you can see, well, a lot of colors. Even though I only applied 2 colors, there are more colors in here. I think that has to do with the next. On my table I already did a lot of papers with a lot of different kind of colors and also with different kind of mediums. So there must have been leftovers of these products on my table. And because this is a lightweight linen, it soaks up water or fluids very easily, better than the heavy cotton. And I think that is the reason that this piece has multiple colors. But no worries at all, I really like the effect. I think this looks great. So in this last piece of video you saw me color this piece of chiffon. Chiffon is a very light see-through kind of fabric, so the colors seeped through very easily, maybe a bit too easy. Because here you can see on the top this almost in total turned out, well, black grayish. And the bottom piece over here, well, it has some staining, some darker staining. But most of it is the green color and then a total black color. And then in the end I even have a piece of white. I do love this kind of staining, but what I would prefer is that the contrast would have been bigger between darker and lighter colors. With this kind of fabric I think I used too much color. And then on the top you can see black took over. And I find this experiment very interesting because we have the thick cotton, totally reacted different. Then we had the lightweight linen. It is like, well, exactly a step in between the cotton and this thin chiffon. So like an intermediate. And then we have this, the chiffon. And the chiffon is very thin. So maybe next time I will make a fabric package with chiffon. But I think I will try to use less color. I shoved everything a bit in the screen so I get a great overview, but of course you know these papers are A4 size and these pieces of fabric are like more than a foot long, so yeah, the space is a bit cramped right now. But I really do want to show you because I had a wonderful experience with great results, and most of all I learned so much. A lot depends on, well, the rain itself. Is it drizzling or is it pouring? And besides the drizzling or the pouring, you also have to keep in mind that the timing is very important. And by timing I mean the right time to pick up your piece of paper or fabric and put it to the side, so get it out of the rain in time. Then another thing is mediums. Not every medium reacts the same. And if I have to choose just one medium with great results, it would be acrylic ink. Because I have to tell you something and I have to show you something. I have been in the rain to create this for quite some time. And it went from a little bit of rain to a whole lot of rain. And I have been outside for hours and hours. So by the time I got totally wet myself, and that also my materials were affected by the rain, I took away my filming equipment. And right at that moment that all my filming equipment was back in the house and I came back out in the garden again, there was the heaviest rain of all day. And I took advantage of that moment. I got out a couple of sheets of paper, put all kinds of ink drops, acrylic ink drops on top of them, threw them on my table for just, well, it must have been under a minute because that heavy rain was falling at the moment. Took them out of the rain right away, threw them on the ground in my shed and did the next sheet. And you will be amazed with the results. I will show you. This was one of the first on canvas, black ink and a kind of mustard colored ink. And then this one. I think this is super cool. It is an acrylic ink, well, two acrylic inks, the blue one and a bit of brown. And on top, if you can see a light shimmer here and there, that is correct because I also sprayed some mica stain on top. Then I did the same process very quickly with a muted gray and a brown color. And while working so quick because it was raining so hard, I also had some swipes of the ink. I think I hit the paper maybe with my arm or hand or something. But nevertheless, the result is very pretty. Quickly I did another one. I first started with an acrylic ink, a little bit of a rust color. This color I cannot remember, but what I do remember is while this paper was laying on the table, I also spritzed some mica stain on top. And that is mostly the yellow areas. And what I also do like about this paper is that there is still a lot of clear white area. Love that contrast. And I did another one because when it's raining this hard, you can make a lot of papers in just 15 minutes. I mean, those papers that I just showed you and I'm showing you now, I just made it in a couple of minutes. A couple of drops of ink or a medium, throw it onto the table, let it rain for under a minute on top of the paper, get it out and let it dry. I mean, I had so many papers so fast. And I must say I also like this result, especially also, you know, the neutral tones that will fit any kind of theme that you are working with. And of course you can see very well those, you know, those water drops and circles. I also did one on black paper very fast because I thought, oh, I only have white paper right now. I want to try on black paper as well. And if you want to create contrast on a dark paper, you have to go more like a light color. And I can even see, well, maybe you cannot see it, but for me, it is like that. It looks like there is like a stem and some kind of leaves or flowers around it. Also on this side, so it could be like a flower field. And on top of this, I have also sprayed with a mica stain to give it a little bit of shimmer and shine. So the biggest surprise and best results I even got totally at the end of this long and rainy day, but it could not have been more fun. So I had a great time. I hope I gave you some information and inspiration on how to create and take advantage of the weather, in this case the rain. I was so curious about the results and how everything would evolve. I cannot say anything else. I am just happy how everything turned out, happy with the results. And I hope I also brought happiness to you. And of course, a little bit of inspiration to do this yourself. And now that I already did this and gave you some extra heads up on what to think about and what to keep in mind, I hope you will dare to spend a day in the rain. If you are curious about the products that I have used, I will put some links in my description box below. And when you enjoyed my video thoroughly, I would hope that you would like, subscribe or comment down below. When you want to check me out or my work, you can also follow me on my social platforms. I will put the links in the description box for you to follow. And besides that, you can also visit my Etsy store for digital kits or my coffee shop. I will enjoy my papers for the rest of the day, and I wish you an amazing, happy, creative day too. Happy crafting, everybody! Bye!